So, in this very simple, and I encourage this very casual almost and open, simple movement of attention. Because where your attention is, it manifests. That's just how that goes. So, a great practice is to actually pay attention to where your attention is going. And if it's narrow and hooked into the thoughts, then guess what? You think you're your thoughts. If it's open and behind, then it starts to have that kind of witness watching kind of quality. So it's very simple. It's a perfect feedback system. So that classic Zen pointer, take one step back. And so what that means is the attention habitually is in front of the skull, in front of the eyes. And so just allow it to come back into the center of the skull and then bring it behind the skull. And if you're sitting up or laying on the floor, same thing. Just bring it behind yourself, your habitual sense of who you are or think you are. And just a very like sweeping kind of quality, very flow kind of quality. Just bring in, instead of going down, we're going to go up out of the crown and above the crown of the head, and go beyond, above, beyond, above. I've been sitting with people, and sort of a little bit of a theme is we're so taught through meditation practices and teachings and be present and be here and root and all of that, that we literally have forgotten the unimaginable, infinite field of light and light beings and holy presences, angelic presences that are here for the benefit of the human beings, for us as a person, individual, and for the totality of the great human presence, experience. So just still following behind, and kind of like an imaginary line that is vertical and it's instead of down, just bring it up. So bring it up to the top of the head. Bring it up beyond. Almost like there, and it does exist. If you tune into it, it's there. It's like the 7 chakras, only it's above the head. So if that helps to have something kind of to go by, just bring it up to the first chakra above the skull, bring it into the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh. And you begin to enter into the light presence, the light unformed presence, the divine. And the more you just let it ascend, and though perhaps you'll feel a little unstable, a little ungrounded, it's okay. You're perfectly safe here. It's okay to be somewhat ungrounded here. And you'll sense, and some perhaps can see, others like feel. There can even be like a sound, like a chiming, high vibratory sound. Just tune into how it is for you. And it's, the tankas in the Tibetan tradition, they always depict these high realms is like you're encircled. They're like realms or of circles. And there's the lower circle and then the second circle, and they're like tiers. That's the word. They're like tiers. And the angelic presence through time. The angelic presence are the messengers, those that are leaving the body, they're in transition of death. They're always available. They're seen by many that don't even believe in angels. They, herald great beings that are coming into the planet. They assist the innocent, the born, those that are born but don't stay. So they're there, they're created to be of benefit to the human experience. And the light beings, the light brothers, the light sisters, the solar beings, they're created of, they surround the whole that enters the sun, the great sun. They can be ancestors. We kind of, in this culture, we kind of negate that. We hope we get to hang out with our favorite people when we pass, and that they're hanging around waiting for us so we can be with them. But that's about as far as we go with the ancestors. But the ancestors are a realm that literally benefit and give of the wisdom that those cultures have gathered in their living, and they pass it down so we can receive the wisdom of the ancestors. They're the realms that are the Devic and the deity realms. The Devic realms that hold the intelligence and the light presence of the plant kingdom, the trees. And the deities that perhaps it was imagined by a tradition, or they are these ancient presences that were before the human condition ever was imagined. They've always existed and they always will exist. Humans come and go, earth come and go, planets come and go. But these are sort of the original deities. They can even be called the sort of like an archetype, but they're the original archetypes. So to open to this unimaginable multiple realms that are literally there to be of benefit for the human experiment, because it is an experiment, the human condition. So in your own way, just call upon that assistance, that wisdom, that brilliance. Call it into your life. It isn't that you're some airy-fairy, new agey, whatever. It's a reality. It's as much as a reality as these bones and blood and flesh. But it's a lighter, higher vibration. Not better, because it has its own challenges. But it's there to call upon. And for many of us, we were taught to call upon God, who, is this invisible presence. But these are, they're like mountains and sun and sky and flowers and trees. They're just made up of light. They haven't entered into the elemental qualities. through time, there can be a certain warning against opening to these realms, because then there can be a tendency of just want to exit the human experience and just be this. But of course, that isn't what we're experiencing in this moment, in this life. But gratitude, permission to guide and enter consciously, to give insights, wisdom, how to move in great times of change, like we are in right now. They have the big view, and they can give that big view, the guidance from that. Do not diminish the power and the love, the guidance and the insistence of these light beings. They're as real as the bones in your body. So not in any way closing that off. I was seeing that in a lot of people's light bodies. There was like a literal cap or closing that off. So just open it up. Include it. You are that as well as what you perceive yourself to be as this physical form. It's illuminated by the same spirit. There is no separation here. So not in any way disconnecting from these realms of guidance and love and assistance, bringing it with you, and then diving once again into the top of the skull, entering the spinal column. And again, it's sort of the back line of the body, but it includes the body. And so using the spinal column as the vertical channel. And that is the first entry of God, the Holy Spirit, the great being, the divine, silent, fundamental, whatever you want to call yourself, is that dark vertical channel that comes into the spine. And then the nadis and all the acupuncture points and then the organs, the spine, everything comes from that dark essence. It's the great womb of everything, without exception. We all arise from this great potentiality. And let it just move, through the back of the neck, down into the shoulder blades, and behind the heart. And just for a few moments, just what is it like when the seeing and the perception and the hearing and the experiencing comes from the open heart? The Sufis have a beautiful symbol, and it's a circle that's black or dark. And then the wings come out of the dark circle. And that's such a beautiful image of the open heart, because it too comes from the dark ground, but then it soars and flies and expands and includes and permeates and embraces and creates, the great creatrix of everything. This is the cosmic mother. And then it comes sort of behind the, below the rib cage and into the torso. And that sense of power. And power isn't so much overpowering or underpowering, it's just abiding as your nature. It's in power. Not too much, not too little, just being. Down into the pelvis. The greed, that creates, she brings in the elements and marries and dances and mixes the elements and creates form. Birth of form is here. And then down into the sacrum, and the sacrum, it's like a triangle where the broad face is above and then the point is below. And it's a beautiful, beautiful symbol in that it's so encompassing. It's so vast and there is no ending in the deepening, but there is no ending also in the expanding. The vertical and the horizontal both are available equally in the sacrum. So there's a sense of settling back in. Just coming out of the head and coming out of the shoulders is trying to make it all happen. And, coming out of too much power, not enough power, overpowered, underpowered, and just coming right into I am. I'm held. I'm supported. I'm nourished. I'm informed. It's the great benevolence, the unimaginable benevolence. And then that resting, that coming home, that, it's much like, the tailbone is a remnant of when the human species literally had a tail. And, the tail is brought up or the tail goes down according to danger. And so that remnant, in most cases, if you really just bring your attention to it, it's pulled up, trying to pull it up inside of the body to run. But when you just let it go and lean back and relax into this unfathomable holding, nourishing, supporting, then the whole alignment within the spinal column changes and the tailbone drops, the pelvic bones, hip bones open up and carry the body. The back of the solar plexus, the digestive system, expands and relaxes, opens, gives it room to do its work. The heart naturally expands, the shoulders come back to allow this expansion, this profound receiving and giving. It's one channel. The throat softens and opens. The neck expands. There's space between the vertebrae. And it comes up into where the skull meets the neck. And in the Egyptian culture, it's called the mouth of God opens. And then that is equally above and equally below, infinitely, eternally, evermore, meets. And you are that. The one constancy in the human experience is this. It's the primordial root essence. It's the foundation. The womb contains all potential of everything, and there is no exception. So rather than the habitual projection out into the scanning the thoughts within the head that are all in the past, literally. I mean, there's the functional thoughts, of course. Those thoughts that arise and fall and arise and fall, they are all in the past, even if it just happened a moment ago. And by sitting, keeping your seat, taking your seat, who you are, supported, nourished, informed, held. And then every part of the system, the energetic and the physical system, are free to then function, to experience itself in the myriad of forms. Enlightened in the 10,000 forms. That's what that points to. But ye must come back first. And then from there, it expresses what is wound in a contracted, painful knot, unfolds. What is available to the individual, maybe old karmic abilities, tendencies, come forward. And it's to be enjoyed, this is true, but fundamentally it's to be of benefit to others. So whatever was developed through time and karma, multiple incarnations, whatever, however you see that, they bloom. And then they're not only for enjoyment is living as you are. It's not some hedonistic missing the seriousness of awakening. It's enjoyment actually is a part of being who you are. Enjoy, causeless joy. But for some, perhaps it's inspirational speaking. For others, it's writing that informs and inspires. For others, it's a painter or an artist or one that can build something that benefits, one that can imagine an invention, a concept that benefits others. They're all equal in their contribution. And that's born. But one must come back to the core of who you are. And then it naturally expresses itself. And it naturally is contributed. And being an advocate, one who speaks for others, a healer, it just a good business person, it doesn't matter. Because it's imbued by the universal wisdom and guidance. It doesn't need to take a position. It just gives of itself and then equally receives. Whatever the role or whatever the contribution is, it's one channel. So who are you when you're resting and a feeling of being stabilized and held and informed in the moment, reharmonized? Life can just look like a hell realm, and there's something in there constantly informing and guiding and revealing and giving of itself. In truth, sometimes when it's the direst circumstance, that's when it's the strongest. So find this in yourself. It not only benefits your life beyond what you could ever imagine, but then it informs and assists all around you that perhaps just yet haven't discovered this constancy, this foundation, this root of everything. You can stabilize a family or a community, or this is why you're here. You're born for this. Everything you have need of is here. It's not in your worry, it's not in your pain, it's not in your projection, it's not in your being immaculate with whatever it is that you do. All that's part of the play, but it's not it. And when it's realized, and when it's a constancy, on top there may be storms, right? Crazy waves stirred up. But something is untouched and still and stable at the same time. Know this intimately in your cells, in your body, in your presence. This is what's being asked for. If you get lost in your thoughts, just simply bring your attention to the back line of the body, the bottom of the spine, and below the spine. And then just let it arise beyond the skull, above, 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 and drop, descend below, below, below. One infinite channel of presence, wisdom, guidance, nourishing, benevolence. It's made up of benevolence. And then thoughts can come and go. It doesn't matter. They're just transparent images that hold certain memories, or it's not even the experience, it's the reflection or memory of experience. So we have an hour. I don't know if it's that long enough.